they're all cooperatives.
Yeah.
So they kind of somehow magically almost break even every year, however, whatever they do.
So this is quite a bit of risk then.
The issue is that it's not their main focus.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever meet these guys, but a meat company man is a pretty stoic guy. You
Yeah.
know, he's not going to shift much. Why should I? It's a really hard thing. So we start with the easier game,
Yeah.
low cost guys who are sort of let's try and
Yeah.
look, and we're lean manufacturing. And
I was just thinking, yeah, maybe they had a bit of money and could sort of sway.
Yeah, you don't need money anymore, do you? You just
Well, I
need
mean,
a bank
for a
to back you.
processor.
Yeah.
Just need a bank to say, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So we just need a really good idea.
I mean, I like
Yeah.
the idea. I think,
Yeah.
you know, it's not a hard idea to sell, but it's very hard for the people who have the controlling say.
Yeah.
Do you think the markets would be more interested in selling more luxury or low-end, something really cheap to make or something? Is it not the
No.
middle market, they don't mind?
I don't know. I mean, my experience of companies that make product, they don't, in the end, they'll argue about price, but they're not focused on price of the product. They want something that's consistent and does the job.
Okay.
You'll never, once you get into a company and start selling a product to them, they'll never, well, if they start saying we want it cheaper, then you know you're in the wrong customer.
Okay.
You need, you know, but it just doesn't happen. The main issue is, why haven't I got the product now? Or why isn't it the right colour?
Yeah.
And you know, they'll have warehouses full of stuff they can't ship, but
Yeah.
it's
So have you done like quite a lot of research into like manufacturers and who could produce the actual shoes?
no, we've not covered any of that. Who would be a partner company? I mean, we've identified, we know comps are interested.
Okay.
Yeah, they've expressed quite a lot of interest. They love the idea of a New Zealand product.
So would you just want to sell with the New Zealand only?
Well, it's 20 million skins, so
Kind of
it's
nice.
plenty enough for everyone.
Yeah.
So how many, because you said that it's all just sitting somewhere before you're doing the thing to it.
Yeah.
How often do they're obviously producing skins quite often since they're taking them off
Yeah, the animals.
before
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah, you have to
So
do
there's kind of like an
processing.
abundant supply to
Yeah,
the
it's
processing
driven by
time.
the meat industry, so they're talking about meat, and so the skin's being removed from the animal during that process, and then if you leave it off the animal, it putrefies, or you have to put salt on it to sort of preserve it, and that becomes a bit of a hassle because then you have to get rid of those, and you know, so it's better to sell, has been better in the past to sell this commodity item which is called pickled pelt, which is the wool's removed. Wool's quite valuable, and they remove the wool and then they do these chemical processes to get it to the stage where it can be stabilized as a pickled pelt. pH is very low and it's got salt in it, just like pickled onions, you know. It's the same sort of concept. And the problem's been actually in China. China's environmental things have cut down on the production of the raw material because the burden on the environment is quite high. So the companies, little companies in China that didn't have proper facility for treating their waste, they've all been shut down. So 2,500 companies shut down last year making this. So because of that, the salted product with the wool and everything still on has lost its market completely. And in fact, that's benefited New Zealand, believe it or not, because Bowrons, who make a lot of rugs and things from sheepskins, they can pick and choose the best product from Australia and New Zealand. So the salted market is just gone. So they're making it as a pickled pelt and praying and hoping that someone will buy it. But the guys know that. The other end of them, you know, they're not dumb, and they are like, they don't need the product. They don't want it. So what you've got to try and do is make a market where there's a demand for it, so that those guys realise that they've got to sort of, oh, yeah, don't get it, because they want the product for sure. They wouldn't buy it otherwise. In any commodity, you know, the commodity market, the issue is it's all supply and demand, and when there's no demand, then there's loads of supply. Only thing that happens is the price slides until it gets to a point where the demand just goes boom, and that's where we're at right now, bottom of the market. And we bought 300 skins for some trials we did, and I think it cost me $1,000. So it's and that was all grades. That was the run grades. Yeah, so I mean, there's just a huge potential there, and it's a way of. I mean, we've done our bit, the sciencey kind of bit. We don't really, we don't know how to sell the product very well, and.
But, like upholstery and things like that, is it strong enough for that?
Yeah, I guess, with upholstery, I always think of larger panels
Yeah,
maybe, but
Yeah.
it could be interesting. I know
Could you sit,
there's one company who makes aircraft seats out of goat skin. And the reason is it's very, very thin, and there's a pressure on airlines to reduce the weight of the seating and everything else in the aircraft, and in theory to reduce the carbon footprint, but in reality so they can put more things, more people and more things in the aircraft. But there's I've seen the stats, I've done the numbers myself, they don't quite add up actually, but there is a market for very thin leathers. But I think if you get this very thin, it might become an issue of strength. A seat cover in an aircraft lasts 20 years. Yeah. So there actually is more and more demand for leather for that purpose now. Jetstar, all these companies are putting leather in their aircraft rather than fabric, because they replace the fabric every 2 years, as opposed to. So that is a market for leather, but maybe not this product. I see this really fitting. What's good about that? Well, if you look at a skin, there's an issue with the skin as opposed to a hide. Is that in quite a small area, you get a lot of variation. So this is the backbone down here. That's the neck. So you can see the neck's got a few little wrinkles in it, and down this area is a little bit puckered, maybe a little bit. We call it mottle. This type of patterning is. And then out in the edges, it's a little bit light and maybe a little bit more stretchy. And in here, this is the best cutting area for, say, a toe of a shoe near to the backbone area. This area is less so. So in a very small area, you've got a lot of variation. Creates a lot of problems for people cutting a standard product. If it cuts right across this backbone, you'll get different pull characteristics here to here. So you have to be a bit tuned to it. And whereas in the capital hide, there's a huge sheet of material which is all similar. So small.
We did a project last term with the modern things, and so we made one in leather, like a cowhide, and we learned on the hard way on the outsides. So that's from the sort of the side that you were talking about, like ideal cutting. But as we went down the hide, like the belly and the ears and the neck, just
couldn't use it for that product.
Because once you harden it, it just goes soft again and falls apart.
So how did you get it to form so stiffly into a shape?
So we had a couple of molds.
Okay.
So this is a vegetable tan leather.
Yeah.
And just boiled it, put it in, clamped it up for half an hour.
Okay. You just heat set it basically. Yeah.
I was just wondering, the zirconium, is that what you?
Yeah.
That it wouldn't work the same process. It wouldn't be able
To make that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the thickness of that is incredible, isn't it? It's about 3-4 millimeters or something.
It's pretty massive. Probably wouldn't be ideal for this. But
No, but I mean the idea of accessory like that potential thing. Yeah. Someone at the meeting was talking about putting things on the side of glasses and things, and I don't know, there's all kinds of options. Wallets, yeah, exactly. Bags and that type of thing.
Do you think if the other companies that you're wanting to get interest from, if they see more product, they're going to be more likely to be interested? Because all you have right now is shoes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
more variety.
and they can
less
see more
options
potential.
focused on one thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because these little bits here could be used for like smaller things, like I don't know. I've seen quite a lot of things online where they make like accessories for phones or like earrings or many things that just need a little bit, and they don't need to be from the good part of the like nothing have to be that strong or
It does change. That's the leg. So in the leg area, it's quite tight actually, and it's a different nature to this belly region, which is a little bit loose and sort of lower density. And the same, that's in the leg area. This area here is the most consistent part of the material. Is down here. We call it the official sampling position, and then the neck is quite dense. This area here can or can't be sometimes better, but really you're writing off this area as consistent, so that's gone, and everything around it. I'm hoping this one's fairly okay. Skin's getting bigger. This is only about 7.5 foot. All the skins now are like 9 feet because the meat are making bigger animals. Because actually the meat production has stayed the same in New Zealand, even though the size of the flock has fallen by half. So there's half as many sheep as there were because they're having more lambs, and the lambs are bigger.
Oh, okay.
So there's about just over 20 million lamb in what they call the crop this year, and there'll be about 3 or 4 million sheep. And the good thing with this leather is because of the zirconium gives you a little bit of like vertical stand in the fibre. The fibre sits up very nice. It makes a beautiful suede.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one's good. It just gives the fibre it's very tight in the fibre. So it's a little bit. It has some of the characteristics of vegetable tan leather. Even chemically, it's quite similar. It's reaction. It's not that thick. That's amazing. A long time ago, the leather sellers, which is like the old guild in the UK, they used to give away these to the students as tankards. You know, like a tankard made out of leather like that. So it's a very traditional thing you're doing, which is cool. Yeah.
So would you consider this quite like sustainable, since you're not just like leaving the skin to be like a waste product, or is the process
Yeah, I mean,
environmental?
you're right. I mean, that's right. Really, if you look at it going off of the extremes that we're going now, the product's got no value. It will become a waste product, and then we'll be looking for outlets for a waste product, and that currently is gelatin. So it could possibly become a jelly, which is a shame because it's got form and
So beautiful.
it's a material. Then you denature that material to make jello or pet food or something. So it's a shame. So it would be nice to, but it's at that point, tipping point now. It was really bad for us. Shoe, not gelatin. Research Association.
Yeah.
So, we think there's a lot of potential in this material. The materials are really interesting. And leather is one of the most interesting materials because of the structure of the material. If you compare it with normal textiles which are woven or whatever, it's a completely different story. And it keeps us in a business because everyone's different. So some of that individual character that you can build into making an idea of a project or something, material. It'd be nice not to have it all covered in plastic like this, to make it more natural and beautiful veg tan. That will be maybe a bit hard. But,
Yeah, so colour-wise, what can you do? Any colour?
anything from white to black, and anything in between. I mean, you see the range. You've got like a minty colour, a light blue, and we've done oranges and yellows, and spill spray. That's that sort of thing. These are all metallised as well. A couple of bit of metallic sheening. The colours dyed through, so it's all the way. That colour's all the way through.
How do you dye it?
In a vat in a drum. So it's a wet process with acid dyes, some pre-metallized acid dyes. The dye fastness, light fastness, all that's very, very high. And being zirconium, which is an incredibly cationic tanning agent, it gives incredibly good fastness. So it has better properties than standard leather manufacturing. Light fastness is very good anyway, zirconium. And typical chrome tanned leather, it has a sort of bluey tinge to it. This isn't white, so it seems quite versatile. Zirconium is more expensive than chrome, a lot more, but it's one extra cost.
So as a side note, a few of us are going to Palmerston North on Friday
Okay.
for a class trip. It's a different paper,
Yeah.
so it will be Matt, Scott, myself, and Maria,
Cool.
and maybe 2 more of us.
Yes.
And we were wondering if that would be like